Hello and welcome to the Becoming Show. Wow, today is a wildcard day, and I have to admit, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I really want to share today. And this talk is is a real, honest sharing um, for those of us who are still stuck, or were stuck, or well, the reason why I'm doing this talk specifically is because I was one of these considered smart people, and yet I always felt like a failure. And now I finally have figured out the entire, like, why I was stuck all this time. And I have put it in a 10-step framework, or the 10 real reasons why smart people fail in life, and then what to do to flip that around. And for those of you who happen to catch this talk, I want you to know that what you're going through right now, all the times that you beat yourself up, all the times that you felt like a failure, even though on the surface it looks like you're doing great because you're still considered the smart one with achieving the things that people want in life. However, you know the truth, and you know that you're hiding behind your potential. You know that you secretly hate yourself. You know that. And this talk is especially for you because I understand exactly how you feel. And I'm offering a way to break that habit, to break that pattern, and consider something different to do. And I'm fully um, committed to supporting you to break that pattern and to reach your full potential if you're ready for that. Okay, so this is kind of like a real honest talk, heart to heart, from one to another, because I know you, I see you, and I get you. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. Why is it the smart people fail? And this is the reality, okay? Not because they cannot do it, but because everything that they do. Now, if you haven't read the book called um oh, what is it? Sorry, I it just slipped my mind. Um growth thinking. Growth thinking. That book is a great book if you are raising children, because that is going to impact how you raise your children a lot. However, if you already all grown up like myself, um, all the patterns that you've already established, it's already there. Now it's just a matter of recognizing and then breaking that habit. And the first thing that you got to realize is, and it's not just smart people, by the way. This talk, even though I label it as smart people, because I know these people beat themselves the most. These people don't sleep well at night. These people secretly hate themselves, and that's a really nasty feeling. Even though they don't hurt other people, even though they try their best to serve, to become what they want to become. However, there's a few blind spots, and I'm going to review these blind spots today. That is going to help them realize that these are the reasons why they were stuck all these years. And the first thing is this: we are nobody. So therefore, we can become anybody. Okay, let me repeat that. You are nobody, and therefore, you can become anybody. This statement is very deep. Let me break it down and let me give you a few examples of what I'm trying to say, because the concept needs to be explained in terms of examples. Who we are is it's not defined yet. It only comes into reality as who you interact with, as who you hang out with, as who you work with. So, for example, water. Water is a liquid state if at a certain temperature. However, in a different temperature below zero, it becomes ice, it becomes solid. And if it becomes above 100 Celsius degree, it becomes steam, which is gas. So just knowing that water is three different things, depending on their environment, depending on who they're interacting with heat or with cold, it becomes something different. So water itself, it's not liquid, it's not solid, and it's not gas. It can be any of those things. And so are you. You can become anybody because you're nobody. Who you become depends on who you interact with, who you work with, who you mentor with. And that's the secret. Not just for smart people, but for everyone. However, the reason why I specifically call out to smart people is because I know that smart people secretly hate themselves, and I don't want them to do that anymore. Another great example is another great example of saying you're nobody, so therefore you can become anybody you want to be. And that is when you look at nature, when you look at who, even ourselves, we are different people when we hang out with different people. We work differently when we hang out with different people. We think differently when we hang out, when we're beside different people. Just the fact that as we do things alongside with someone, and that person has a great impact on how we behave, how we think, and how we do things, that if you get that at the deepest level, now it'll give you the steps of what to do. As long as you can see that who you are depends entirely on the environment around you, on the people that you interact with. If you can see that, then you will have a solution for all of your problems. Because you are nobody, so therefore you can be anybody. And I'm just going to repeat that until you get that at the deepest level. Okay, so that's why most people, every sage, every spiritual book, every success book starts with know thyself. And one of the reasons why we fail is because we don't know ourselves. But the problem is this. The problem is by ourselves, if individually, that doesn't define who we are yet. Who we are needs to be who we are is actually who we are in that moment, in that environment, beside that person or beside that group of people. Because in a different environment, we're someone different. So the self-awareness is great, but if you don't extend and step one more step and understand that who you are is actually not just who you are by yourself, but who you are depends on what's happening around you, your environment, and also the people that you hang out with. Okay, let me give you a vivid example of this. Okay, for example, if you are happening to be stepping into a room, a dark room, like something that's not well lit, and you see a piece of rope, and it's shaped like a snake, and you scream because you thought it was a snake. So now the reality is it's a piece of rope. It's not snake. But because you thought it was a snake, you screamed, and all the fears and all that came up. Because if you had known, if you can decide immediately that is a piece of rope, you wouldn't have any of those fears, any of those reactions. But the problem is everything that we do in life, how we act, how we think, how we do anything, depends on what we see, or at least the perception of what we see, and how we react to that. So that's why understanding the self-awareness is great, but you need to understand one more step. And that is the environment, what you see, what you feel, who you work with, who you hang out with right beside you, who is the people around you. It greatly impacts how you show up. It greatly impacts how you think. So that's why, and the secret is actually, it's much easier to manipulate or to control your actions, to control how you think, by being in the right environment, by being with the right people, than trying to improve yourself in a silo by yourself. Because nothing happens when you're by yourself. Nothing, no arguments can happen when you're by yourself. No success, no failures, nothing can happen when you are by yourself. You need to have the interaction with someone else, and then that becomes either a success, a failure, or some type of interactions that we consider good or bad. And because of that, the self-awareness is just I would say, if we were to think of the iceberg, the self-awareness part, it's so hard to work on that it's almost impossible to improve your life if that's all you work on. However, it's much easier if you can actually work on the external, on the part where you can control the environment and the people that you're around, because that entire interaction is going to decide whether you do the right things enough times, enough consistency or not, because your success depends on that. Okay, so let's go back to, I'm gonna reveal the 10 reasons why smart people stay stuck, and stay stuck. If anything, they stuck at the 80% level. That is usually where they're stuck at, and some is even much lower than that, but due to circumstances beyond their control. However, most smart people are stuck at 80%. But you know what? That 80% is so easy to get for them. That's their comfort zone. And maybe that's where, let's start with that. Smart people stay stuck at the 80% because this is their comfort zone. But this 80% is actually where it is killing them. It's a slow death. It's a slow death in the sense that they have no sense of fulfillment. They have no sense of pride, of achievement, because they know that they don't deserve they don't deserve any kind of acknowledgement yet if this is all that they're doing, because you guess what, they didn't have to do anything. This 80% zone, it's almost like it's almost kind of like some people are born lucky and they look good. Some people, they're born lucky and they have blonde hair, and the hair looks beautiful. They don't have to do anything. They don't have to do anything to get to that 80%. They never have to try to exert effort to work for it. And that's the reason why, if that's all, if that's all they get to, that 80%, they will secretly hate their life and hate themselves, because this is the part where they didn't earn that 80%. So the solution is, instead of but the problem is this, okay, so it's a curse. I'm telling you, smart people staying at 80% is such a curse, because on the surface it looks good. It looks like they have everything. It looks like life is good. But underneath is a lot of boiling, is a lot of churning and sleepless nights and self-hatred. And because they know the truth, they know that there's much more potential. They know that they have what it takes to do more, to achieve more. Not because it's something that that would make them, look better. Because on the surface, on the external, their life is already good. But on the inside, they know the truth. And they know that they're lying to themselves and they're lying to everyone else. They stay at 80% because it feels safe and respectable. They already have that, the safe zone, and they already have the respect. And that's why they don't want to go beyond the 80, from the 80 to the 90, from the 90 to the 95, and from the 95 to 100. That is extremely hard. That is an extremely hard climb, that last 20%. And unless they're willing to go all in, to face complete failure, because at the 80%, it's hard to fail. At the 80%, it's hard to be broke. At the 80%, it's hard to look bad. However, if they try to go from 80 to 90%, they could completely lose everything. If they go into business, if they actually try something different, they could actually go bankrupt. This 10% climb can totally bankrupt them. However, if they don't do it, if they don't go for it, this is their slow death. It's kind of like a death sentence that is imposed by themselves, not by someone else. However, here's the thing: other people, they don't know you. Other people can make you feel good by saying great things about you, by saying nice things about you. And you take that, and it's somewhat a soothing, a healing balm for what's really happening inside. Because inside, you know that you're playing small. Inside, you know that you haven't really tried. Inside, you know that this is your hiding out place, the 80% zone. This is you hiding behind the 80% zone, your comfort zone. And so this talk is for those who want to break that 80% and go into the 90%, going to the 95%, going to the 100%, going all in. And this 20% climb, it takes incredible courage because 80% is already good. 80% is already respectable. And it's already comfortable. It's a comfortable life. But if you really want the freedom that you actually know you're capable of, not just financial, but freedom to do what you really want to do, freedom to pursue what you really are passionate about. We're talking about this 20%. And this talk, I'm so sorry, I already spent 27 minutes just circling around, but this talk is for that 20%. For those of you who want to go from 80% to 90% and risk losing everything. Same thing with a relationship. An 80% relationship is kind of like it's someone that you feel comfortable with, that you feel there's that sharing, there's that commonality. Both people feel safe, feel that they have someone to share their life with. But it's nothing like the 90% or the 95% or the 100% of a relationship. Okay, so that's what we're starting from, the 80% zone. So now, how do we break? What other mistakes the smart people are making to keep them stuck at the 80%? Number one, well, this is number two now. They mistake intelligence with execution. They mistake knowledge with result. Because they spend so much time learning and preparing instead of executing, instead of implementing what they've learned. And partly because they don't want to look bad. They don't want to fail. They want to make sure that whatever they do, it's going to succeed. That is the trap. The trap is if they're trying something new, they don't want to do a crappy job. They don't want to do something that is not at least 80% or above. And so they just don't do anything new. They don't learn. They don't take chance. They don't take a risk of looking bad, because that is a no-no. That is like they would rather lose money. They would rather lose the opportunity than to lose the essence of them looking good. They don't want to look bad. And so by confusing knowledge, intelligence, they keep learning. And partly is because they love learning. These smart people, you give them a book, they would devour it in one night if it's a good book, because they love learning. They love learning new things. That's one thing. But then they're stuck there. And then if they don't implement, this is where the gap between learning and knowledge becomes bigger and bigger as they learn more and more and more. And they're afraid to execute because they're afraid of looking bad if they don't do a good job. This is a trap for smart people. That's so the solution, how you can flip that around is is to actually understand that they can be extremely good in one thing, in in A, but they can be extremely bad in B. And so for them to start to do something brand new, of course they will fail. Of course they will be horrible. Of course they will look bad. So instead of trying to polish and always look good, if they can actually just welcome the fact that, my goodness, I suck at this. So let me try. Let me try. I've learned how to read, I've learned how to swim by reading, by watching all these trainings online, but I haven't stepped into the water. How can I swim? And as soon as they step into the water, they will know it's very different. They might know all the moves on paper in the book because they've memorized it all. But the actual mechanicals of the strokes in the water, having to breathe, that takes practice. That takes a different time to learn. So now, even though I'm comparing one on the intelligence of the mind, like technical world, versus the swimming lessons is a physical world, or same thing with learning a new instrument like a guitar or a piano. You can watch, you can learn all the theory that you want, but when you actually play, your fingers don't listen to your to what you know, because the fingers are not trained yet. Now, when it comes to building a business, when it comes to advancing in your career, your job, or with other people, everything requires practical, hands-on experience, because the theories, the books, can only get you started at maybe, so if it's a 0 from 10, the books can take you to level 1 or level 2 maximum. But from level 2 to level 8, 9, or 10, you're going to need practice doing it, and then more books, more mentoring, more learning, and then going up, up and up. And so if you understand that, if you actually can welcome the fact that you will suck at this for at least a period of time before you can get better at it, then now you have broken the trap of confusing intelligence versus execution. Okay. Another mistake for smart people is that they think the biggest enemy is failure. They think their biggest enemy, or they're most afraid of, failure, because then of course that's going to damage their polished, this shiny me where I'm perfect, I have everything, right? It's going to break that image. But the reality, failure is not their enemy. It's actually distraction. Or a better word, distraction sounds like a bad word, but a better word to describe the distractions is actually novelty. Something new, something exciting, something that, wow, that sounds exciting, that sounds new. The novelty is actually what is killing their potential, because they keep jumping from one thing, from one novelty to another novelty. Because smart people get bored quickly. And when they come to a ceiling, a point where they're kind of stuck. And if they're and when they're stuck, there's always a blind spot. But if they're working on themselves, by themselves, not with the help of anyone else, they will always remain stuck. Or it'll take them forever, it'll take them a long time to break through that on their own because of all the blind spots. And so when they are stuck like that, it becomes boring. It becomes just another old thing. And so when they hear of something new, when they hear of a new strategy, when they hear of a new opportunity, it becomes so irresistible to jump onto that opportunity, because smart people, they take actions fast, they move fast, and they get things done fast. They get to the 80% point very fast. But then they're stuck at that point. And sometime they're stuck at a point of not breaking through to success yet. You know that hockey stick point, the point where the inflection point. Most smart people get stuck at that inflection point because that inflection point has many blind spots. And on their own, they cannot see the blind spots, and they cannot break through that breaking point, that inflection point. And therefore, they keep jumping from one idea to another idea, from something old to something new, to something newer, to something else, a better opportunity. Because they never break through that inflection point, and that becomes boring. So that is the smart person's enemy is not failure. That's not the enemy. It's the lure of novelty. It's the lure of something new, something exciting, something better. Okay? So the solution to that, of course, is to have someone to help you see your blind spots. When you have, because here's the thing, everyone who has the desire to succeed at something will inevitably succeed at it if they work at it long enough. The problem is they give up too early. And usually they give up because, number one, they cannot see their own blind spot. And number two, they don't have someone else working with them. They don't have someone else who can see their potential, who can see their blind spots, and who can see that, oh, the solution is right there. It's right there. It's within your reach. You're just not seeing it. So before you consider giving up on what's not working, if the opportunity is at the right time, so for example, if you've been trying to create income online, that has been around for at least 10, 20 years, but most likely 10 years. The pioneers are 20 years ago, but the people who are like, most people are within the 10 years. And right now with AI, it makes it so much easier. And if you are still not succeeding in it yet, it's because of the blind spots. It's because you're not seeing your own blind spots. That's the only reason why you're still stuck and you haven't succeeded yet. It's not because you're in the wrong time. You're in the perfect time. It's not too late. In fact, it's actually most everything goes in cycle. As long as you are providing a solution to someone else's problem, then you will always be at the right time. And this solution doesn't have to be something that is huge and like super important. It could simply be how to sew something, how to do crochet, how to fish, how to do anything. And those things are definitely not the big problems of life. It's just something that people are willing to pay for a solution that they're looking for because that's their passion. So if you are still stuck on the flat line and not breaking through the inflection point to your success yet, this is where you need to stop seeking something new, the novelty of it, but actually work with someone, get help, work with someone to see your blind spots and break through that. Okay? That's now another mistake that smart people make is that they know what to do. Smart people, they know everything. They know what to do, but they don't do it. The easy things to do are actually also are much easier not to do. And so the consistency, they lack consistency. Consistency is not a logical thing. Consistency is an emotional thing. And by that, what that means is if it requires you to be in the mood to do something, that is all emotional. You're driven by emotions, by how you feel. Are you in the mood for it? But one of the key to success, and we all know this, is consistency. It's not you work out 8 hours a day for once a week. It's working half hour or even 20 minutes every day. Every day. The consistency. And smart people, the problem with smart people, and speaking from my own experience, and that is we have a great start. Like we're great starters. We move really fast. We take action super fast and we get things done really fast. We take it to the point where that flatlined right to the end very fast. Other people might take days or weeks or months or even years, but for us to go from zero to that end of the flatline point is super fast. It takes us, we're 80% faster than most people, and yet we do not succeed, and yet we fail more than most people in terms of our own standards, because we don't have the consistency to break through that inflection point. And the consistency requires for us smart people, for you smart people, to be connected to your why, to why you're doing this, to the emotions of why you need to get this done. And the problem is, most smart people, their life are pretty comfortable. And so to work, to have to do something consistently is extremely hard for them, especially when they lose connection to the real why of why they're doing this. And that's why they're so easily distracted by novelty, by the shiny object syndrome, because they don't have consistency as their natural way of life. It's nothing natural. Consistency is something you have to actively work at, and it's not logic. Because if it's logical, then smart people would be able to do it easier because they can figure things out. Logic, they can figure it out. But because this is an emotional thing, smart people are not connected to their why, to their connections, to their purpose. And when that becomes blurry, they lose the momentum, they lose the consistency, they lose the 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 desire to keep working at it. Another mistake smart people make is that because they because they know so much, not just about the technical side, not just about the science of it or the how it works. They actually, if real smart people, they actually know how to behave, how to talk to anyone. They're like the what do you call that animal that changes colors? Uh, it's not the lizard. It's the, oh, I can't remember the name of that animal that changes colors, and they change color to the environment to stay safe. Oh, what's that thing called? Uh, Camouflage is the. I'm not sure if the word is camouflage, but they camouflage and they become the environment, so they can blend into anything. Smart people can do that. Smart people can talk to anyone about any topic, about anything, really, because they do have enough minimum knowledge to strike a conversation and to talk to anyone and to still remain pretty interesting. However, the problem with that is sometimes, actually, most of the times, not sometimes, most of the times, they they dilute their voice to blend with other people. They dilute their opinion on some things because they don't want to offend people. They basically blend in because they can. And they blend in really well, as in they can fit into any group. But then in doing that, they lose themselves. In doing that, they have no they don't have they don't have that true essence of who they are anymore, because they just blend in wherever they are at. And that is a great trait, because that is a trait for success for most. However, again, that is only at the 80%. To be at the 90%, to be at the 100%, you can only get to that level when you are truly yourself. When you truly speak what you think, when you truly do what is actually aligned with who you are. Because you will not change yourself to do something for someone else just to please them anymore. You will stay true to yourself. And there is a very fine line between helping other people by playing it safe, by doing what that person wants, to staying in your true lane, in your own lane, and still helping that person, but staying true to who you are and doing things that are actually perhaps not the way that person wants you to do it, but staying true to yourself by doing it the way that you would do it and how you think it would help them. So, for example, true friends tell the truth. True friends will not sugarcoat, will not tell you you look great in that dress, when in reality they just couldn't say the truth that it's an ugly dress. True friends will help you become stronger and better. Instead of so true friends will have the hard talk, the hard conversations, knowing that it might hurt your feelings, knowing that you might feel defeated, that you might feel deflated. But true friends will actually not just deflate you, they will actually help you pick something that is a better fit for you, that is a more suitable version of you. And this is where smart people tend to play it safe and stay at the 80% and dilute their voice, dilute who they are, and they lose themselves in this process. And the final mistake that smart people make is they think they can do it on their own, by themselves. Because they can figure things out. Yes, that's true. They do figure things out. They can learn how to do things and figure things out. But usually it's so the cost of doing things themselves is way, way more than the cost of working with someone, hiring a mentor, hiring a coach, someone to actually help them see the blind spot. So for smart people, they actually they hurt themselves by they hurt themselves by wanting to do it in their own way, the way that they like it, the way that they're used to, the way that they feel good doing. Because all those things have already given them a certain level of success. They already give them a certain level of comfort, of respect, of things that they can achieve. But the problem is they will always be stuck at that level, at the 80% level, and never go beyond that if they keep working by themselves. There's a saying, if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. But they never mentioned that fasting will only last a short while. 80% is a long path. So if you want to go fast, you go by yourself. But if you want to go far, you go with a friend. If you want to go far, if you want to achieve a lot more, you do it with someone who can help you see your blind spots, or who are a few steps ahead of you and now they become your mentor and they can warn you of what's coming ahead. And I know that these are the real reasons why I know that I was stuck for a long time because of these reasons. And I still am. I'm not free from it yet. But at least now, every time I'm stuck, I know right away why I'm stuck. Which one of these mistakes is causing me to be stuck here? And when I realize it, when I become aware of it, I can shift out of it. I can flip it around much quicker. Instead of, this is kind of like once you've seen it, once you've heard it, you can't unsee it or you can't unhear it. This is kind of like that. And so the next time that you feel stuck, just remember which one of these anchors are holding you back. And perhaps you can get some help. Get some help. And don't do this alone because it's a lonely place. I mean, being a I work a lot with entrepreneurs because I'm one of them. And being an entrepreneur is a lonely path. It's a lonely path compared to the people around you. That's why a lot of entrepreneurs are in some kind of coaching program because they needed that community. They need that community to feel less alone, to feel that, oh, there are other people wanting to go that same destination and also having the same problems, the challenges that they're facing. Because if you look at real life, most people have a job. And having a job is a very comfortable thing. The problem with having a job, and there's only a problem, is if you're not happy in the job. If you are happy in the job, that is the best. It's kind of like that's the life. You already have whatever you want. But it's only a problem if the job doesn't give you what you want in life. If you hate your job, if you hate your boss, if you hate the people that you work with, the environment that you work with, then that job is slowly killing you. It's killing your essence, your energy, your life. It's sucking the life out of you. And so and but the thing is most people have a job. And for those entrepreneurs who are looking to break free from their job, by the way, I don't recommend anyone to quit their job and start a business. That is the worst thing you could do to your financial stability, to your mind, peace of mind, to your uh, lifestyle. What you should do if you actually are looking to start a business of some sort is to keep your job working 40 hours a week. And here's an advice that I think I might get booed for is you work in your job at the 80% capacity, meaning you're not, because 80% is good enough. You don't have to give them 100% of you. 80%, if you do your job 80%, you won't get fired. In fact, if you were to do it at even 65%, you won't get fired. Now, AI is coming in, so I cannot guarantee that. However, what I'm saying is save that 20% of energy to work on your business, to work on your true venture, whatever you want to build in your life. So that maybe spend 10 hours a week. So 40 hours in your business, but at 80% level so that you don't get fired, so that things are still great. Your boss has no reason to fire you. But save that 20% of your juice for what you're really passionate about, for building your business, for building your freedom or the lifestyle that you truly seek. So and because when you do that, you get so much tax benefit from having a job and then starting a business on the side, simultaneously. This is the best way to build a business. And then once you see the point of inflection in your business, once you feel that, oh, I need to focus all of my energy on my business, and I know that my business can replace the income from my job, that's when you can quit your job and go all in. In fact, most people should Wait until the business makes enough money to your job before quitting your job. So that now, if you quit your job, the business is still equal to what you have lost before. But to actually do both jobs, the real job, the safety job, and the business that you're building, in order for you to actually succeed at this, you're going to have to learn some new skill. It's not the old skill in your job anymore. Being in business requires you to wear many hats at the same time and to learn new skills. And anything new that you're learning, you will suck at first. And so you have to be willing to accept that. And also to know that it's not easy, but man, it's worth it. It's not easy to build the lifestyle, the dream job. And by dream job, I'm talking about your business or whatever you want to have. It's not easy to get that. But man, it's worth it. Whatever you have to do to get to that, it's worth it. And that's what smart people are cheating themselves of. And that's why smart people secretly hate their life, hate themselves. Secretly. And that's why they lose sleep at night. Not because life isn't good. They lose sleep at night because they're afraid of dying with their dreams unfulfilled, with their dreams unpursued. So they're not even pursuing their dream. They're staying stuck in their comfort zone. And I hope that if this talk touches you in any way, and if it moves you to one tiny action to do something different, I'm grateful that I could have this impact, this little tiny impact on your life. And there's many more steps to do, but at least this is the first step to decide that you don't want to be stuck at 80% anymore, that you want to take the risk and to do all the things that I just mentioned, all the mistakes that I mentioned, and to be aware that these mistakes will keep coming back. It's not like one of those things where once you fixed it, once you overcome it, it never comes back. Oh, it does come back. It does come back. And it comes back even better and stronger in the sense that it camouflages itself even better. Like it's more powerful when it comes back because now, number one, you are more powerful. However, that thing is also more powerful. So it comes back disguised even better. So it takes a better version of you to handle that new challenge. I sincerely am very grateful to have the opportunity to have this share heart to heart with you. If you happen to be one of those that suffers one of these things that I just mentioned, and I hope that my talk will help you flip it around and do something different and start the first step towards that above 80% zone, the outside of your comfort zone. And please let me know. Reach out and let me know if how you do, and if there's anything I can do for you. Reach out. Thank you, and I'll see you on the next episode. Have a great